Ogbi, when you saw all this happening, I don't want to be the one to start because you will say women liberation, feminism, all those things will start to come out. How did you process it at first?
At first, for me, it was more a case of, okay, madam, just obey the rules of the house, obey the rules of the house. But then I also know that in a place where you have so many powerful men and you have just a few women, there's the tendency for the men there to silence the women is very high. That was what I felt. Two emotions, Senator Natasha should have at least, just obeyed. Secondly, are the men also just trying to, impose power? Are the men also just trying to exercise that thing, over the woman?
And there are so many things that made me feel a bit, okay, if you are out of order on matter of law, you can actually be called back. I'm a lawyer by training. You cannot know everything.
Yeah.
Do you know what makes some lawyers better than some? It's because they know where the law is. But as the Senate president, you are supposed to allow everybody fair hearing. So that even if you are foolish, your foolishness will be obvious to all. And you'll be able to quote a law to say, okay, well, this law supersedes that one you just quoted. And she probably will be called to order. Even at that, it was the dismissiveness of that day that upset me. Welcome again, our wonderful listeners to our wonderful podcast. Welcome again to Say My Piece. My name is Omotule Adebowale David, but you fondly call me Lolo. And I am sitting on our beautiful black chair against a beautiful new set. And I can tell you, I am very excited to see you again. I am not here alone. Of course, my brother and my friend is here with me today in the studio. The very artistic, the very talented, this uber creative one. We all call him Ogbolo. I call him Ogbi. But what say you out there?
Thank you very much for your very, very, demure introduction. I really do appreciate you. Thank you so much. And you're all welcome once again to Say My Piece. And like she had earlier introduced, my name is Ogbolo. You're welcome.
Honestly, I think I've always crushed on Ogbolo, not in that way that you guys think. He's my brother. Even if my mama born him directly, I don't think I can love him more. I think he's a very talented person. His mind is so rich and deep. And on top of that, he's a fantastic dresser. I keep begging him to do a series on fashion for men so that, teaching them one or two things about styling yourself effortlessly.
Lola. Let's finish comedy and entertainment first.
Money, they find money. But today we have a very interesting topic to discuss.
Yeah.
And it's a topic that is on everybody's lips because it's still ongoing. It's not something that has, ended. A couple like 2 weeks ago in the Senate, it became a heated accusation when Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan accused the Senate president of sexually harassing her. But before that became an issue, there was an issue on legality in the House where Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was asked to vacate a seat and move to another seat because some senators defected to another party, so they needed to change the arrangement of the seat. And she did challenge this on the floor of the House, and it was like it became a tussle. She was silenced, and it became an argument, and it became something of misconduct, going against the rules. It became a whole lot. And the matter then, from then on, escalated to when she went on another TV station and she, blatantly accused the Senate president, the number 3 most powerful man in Nigeria, of sexually harassing her. And when it comes to issues of sexual harassment, it's not something women take with levity. And that is when the drama began. And you would see a lot of polarization. You will see women supporting Akpabio. You will see some other set of women supporting Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. And you will see all sorts of dismissive, from some of the matriarchs, some of the women that has been in politics, many of them standing on the other side of Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan. And that is how the matter has been pulling on for weeks. And a couple of days after all this started, Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan was, she's supposed to stand before the Ethics and Privileges Committee of the House, but they met in her absence and they did sanction her heavy sanctions. She cannot pull herself out as a senator of Nigeria anywhere across the country. She'll have to vacate her seat. She'll have to, all her staff would have to be, they cannot work through the time that she's been suspended, about 6 months, and a lot of other things. Salaries withheld, so many things, so many things in the recommendation, and it was adopted so unceremoniously by the entire House. All we had was, this is the recommendation, all that say aye, and the ayes had it. And of course, she left with an argument. She left with a strong word that this is not the end of it, that she would continue to fight. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the matter at hand that I and Mr. Michael Uba, because we're talking Senate, we're very professional here. That is what we're going to be discussing today on the podcast. So you're welcome to join in the conversation. Ogwi, when you saw all this happening, I don't want to be the one to start because you will say women liberation, feminism, all those things will start to come out. How did you process it at first? Let's even leave before the accusation. Let's stay on the matter of that they said, okay, she did not go according to the Senate rules. That according to their rules, if they defect, they will have to rearrange. So, what did you think about that particular situation?
At first, for me, I didn't give ears to everything initially, because for me it's like Senate, don't start on our own matter again and all of that. But eventually, when the matter started to become news, I started to pay some more attention. At first for me, it was more a case of, okay, madam, just obey the rules of the house, obey the rules of the house. But then I also know that in a place where you have so many powerful men and you have just a few women, there's the tendency for the men there to silence the women is very high. There's a high tendency for the men to want to, play that. They have wives at home and all of that, so they may want to exercise that power. And that was what I felt. Two emotions. Senator Natasha should have at least, just obeyed. Secondly, are the men also just trying to, impose power? Are the men also just trying to exercise that thing, over the woman? So it was two emotions. I couldn't really, until now for me, it is still both of those emotions, because again, if you don't know the entire story, especially backstories and certain things, you can't necessarily conclude on some of these gists, So for me at that point, so before the sexual part decided, came in, this was the emotion that
you experienced. For me, because I've had to speak about this on so many platforms, and it has become tiring because it will become the patriarchy. In a house that is supposed to be a house where laws are made, that is one of the that's the legislative arm of government. It's an important integral part of our total rule of our governance. We have the judiciary, we have the executive, and we have the legislature. And the legislature is as important because that's where rules are formulated. And that means if you are in that citadel, you should understand fairness. When this matter of change your seat started, I was sharing your opinion that, okay, if this is the rule of the house, and there are so many things that made me feel a bit, okay, if you are out of order on matter of law, you can actually be called back. I'm a lawyer by training. You cannot know everything. Do you know what makes some lawyers better than some? It's because they know where the law is. Even if she was wrong on the rule, on maybe one of the Senate rules, it's not as simple. It's not that difficult. All I have to do is say, Senator Natasha, according to section this and that and that and that, this is this. She has every right to respond and say, no, according to section this and that and that. But as the Senate president, you are supposed to allow everybody fair hearing. So that even if you are foolish, your foolishness will be obvious to all. And you'll be able to quote a law to say, okay, well, this law supersedes that one you just quoted. And she probably will be called to order. Even at that, it was the dismissiveness of that day that upset me. That even if she's wrong on matter of law, that is beautiful now. We banter on law. No, section this says this. What does the judiciary do? They interpret laws. Might can be a subject of huge debate. And that you might actually think you are right and you will be flawed because you were able to present a superior argument. But when she was just dismissed like that and she was not allowed to, continue to fight, even if she said they should say, get yourself off the seat. If it's a matter of law, point it out. If it goes back and forth. But when it became like an attack on a person, and let me tell you, before a person will react negatively, sometimes it's more from the past. That just like you said, in a house filled with over 104 male lawmakers, and we have only 4 women.
Only 4 women,
That means if you are not, it's unfortunate for us women when we're in a position of leadership. You have to be forceful, or else it's very easy to silence her. So that's why you see some women, we become like aggressive. I say but I would say assertive. Because when it comes to women, we are aggressive. But when a man is doing the same thing, he's considered assertive. She was trying to assert herself, but she could have been put in a place by law, by explaining it or by putting it to her.
So here's my because again, like I said, I was sharing different emotions as regards this particular thing. What if she had just obey the rule of the house first? Because sometimes as a woman, you may tend towards emotions, and riding based on emotions sometimes may actually lead you to make very terrible decisions because emotions are not best at guiding you sometimes. What if she had just obeyed the rule of the house first? Then you carry on with whatever complaints you had.
I agree with you. If you are telling me this is the rule of the house and she's not aware, I'm not saying that ignorance is
an excuse.
But do you know that you can be ignorantly on the wrong side and you are not aware? All they had to do is that the rule of the house, section, and she was quoting the law too that day, defending her position. So you should know that she felt some sort of way that, I have a right. It is the people. As the Senate head, you're supposed to quickly consult your books and say, no, this is the matter of. But when she was shut out, that is where I had an issue. And it made me feel like, why? Even if she is not right, point it to her based on the law. This thing would not have escalated to this point. Because she was still quoting the law she felt she was standing on. And you know that laws are funny. You might think that this one and another superior law, there's common law, there is the constitution, but the constitution overrides. There is Islamic law, Sharia law. So a lot of things but the constitution is supposed to override, supersede any of these. So she was still and that was the only thing I had a problem with. That if they had put her down based on the law, that Senator, why don't you research this matter and come to us? But this is the rule of the Senate. It's a matter of just changing chair. It no reach like that. No be say something they had to come to loggerheads over. Knowing that before now, there's already some kind of funny precedent.
So
many months before, there had been a flippant comment. But do you know that lawmakers, I want to beg them, because every word carries weight. Even the house is not a house of jest.
It isn't.
It's not a comedy house. We are not in AY life. That you will make a flippant statement by saying, sorry, this is not a nightclub. Ogbolo, that was very disparaging. That was very belittling. That was very infantilizing.
But I think that they finally came out later to explain that now. What they meant by that one was simply saying that in a club setting, it's not a rowdy place where you are trying to talk over the music and all of that.
That is what he came to explain.
Yeah.
But how she interpreted it on that floor that day was not the same.
Yeah.
There are so many ways to interpret a thing.
True.
When you say club, one, I'll say club is noisy. I say it's a dark place. I'll say it's a place where sex workers stay.
Yeah.
I will say it's a place where scantily dressed men and women stay. I'll say it's a place of rivalry. I would say it's a place of drinking alcohol and getting high. So you can't just pick
one thing and say
that is what
this is what I meant, and this is how you're supposed to understand it. Yeah.
And how about if she interpreted it wrongly?
Yeah, which is very possible.
Yes, even though he did apologize, but the damage that word caused every person looking at her in the house. Do you know that how people can fixate on a thing? Any small thing, you don't even know whether many people will pass her by the corridor. I'm not saying that's what happened. This is just an hypothetical situation. You might say, hey, Senator Natasha, night cover.
Which is very possible.
Say, I don't like it.
Yes.
And she'll walk away. Yeah. And the next one is someone say, Senator, you're looking a bit tired today.
Are you coming from
the club?
Yeah. Those kind of jests are very possible with some kind of men.
Imagine if that had gone on for a couple of weeks. And she's like, God, where would the people in this place? This is an hypothetical situation. What is wrong with these people? When would they ever take me serious? Now, when she now stood up on that chair, maybe she's coming from the aggression. They want to cheat me again. Maybe because the chair they were telling her to go was kind of in the corner. Maybe she was just fighting that I don't want to be put in that corner where I will not be seen.
Yeah.
She might just be fighting for that based on what has happened previously. And as if that was not bad enough. The next day, after this incident, one of the aides of our Senate president went and wrote on one of his social, even though he did take it down, but he did write it.
He had done it first, yeah.
Yes. He said, this is not a house where people come with pancake and dress half naked.
I think that men, when we are in positions like this, see, money, there's a way money can really mess the mind of certain people up. And especially for men, sometimes when I hear these senators speak, it's very clear that many don't really regard, women who are also in power. Yeah. It's certain that they don't respect these women like that. You understand? They still try to put them down and all. So to a large extent, like we said earlier, there's so much different things are playing around all of this.
Look at all this. I'm not talking about what I've even said is that I'm not saying she's right. I'm saying that you can put somebody down on the basis of the law. It is the law you use to counter. It is not just how you feel. You can't just say, I just want to move you to that chair. Maybe the woman wanted the legality of it and she wasn't given the opportunity. And unfortunately, after all this transpired, you know that she probably was told to leave that day and she left. Of course, she granted an interview the next day. Do you know what it is? They said, Kinikon than a woman scorned. Hell had no fury.
Okay.
Like a woman scorned.
Okay.
Imagine how she felt all night. I'm an actor. Imagine how she sat before a mirror and said, me, Natasha Akpoti Odoaga, is who they humiliated like this in the front of all Nigerians. I'm not going to take this thing. Oh, so you think I cannot show all that you have done? Call this news station for me. And she went and she now made the allegations of sexual assault, which was like an upgrade
from where it was before.
Before.
Yeah.
As far as I'm concerned, this is a heavy allegation.
Yeah.
It is heavy because it can mar a person's career. So whether I like it or not, it is something that even the Senate president should not take with levity. This is an attack on his person. And it's something that we cannot just say, this is just the rambling of an angry woman. It's just somebody accuses you that Ogbolo raped her. And Ogbolo just say, oh, please, let her just go and sit down. No! This can affect your career.
Yeah.
How about if somebody read it in the newspaper and said, this guy, this beautiful, great MC, say Ogbolo, to MC our AGM. Say, no. He's a rapist. You can't sweep it under the carpet.
So which now brings the question. Do you think that was a wise move on her own part?
Based on what?
she going on national TV the next day to announce that this is something that had never been discussed. Because again, if the issue of changing seats had never come, we'll have probably never heard about sexual harassment.
We don't know that.
And of course, right now, we had never heard about Akpabio trying to sexually harass any senator.
But we can't know that she did it because
no, but that was it
she
now.
was of that.
No, but that was the reason.
She
now.
he could have come.
No. If she had gone to the TV station and talked about the issue of misconduct and sat on the misconduct discussion, right? I mean, she could have also tabled that case without necessarily also going on with the sexual harassment issue.
Before a person will make such a weighty accusation, it cannot just be made emptily. It can't. Do you know the implication? And that is why even a lot of people that hear me talk about this issue will think, oh, Lolo is pro Senator Akpoti. No. I am pro truth. If she made an allegation against our Senate president and it is investigated and found to be wrong, do you know how much credibility she would lose? She might probably have destroyed her own political career forever. How about if they investigate and it is true?
No, because right now
I'm saying, you see one side, that means the Senate president's career can be totally ruined.
No, the truth is, see, Lolo, at the end of the day, stuff like this, that's why we need to discuss it. You get, like I said earlier, I'm not on either side of this entire argument, right? For me, I'm just really discussing the several questions that come to be when this, because again, the truth is, one, what if he is actually innocent?
It's a possibility.
It's a huge possibility. What if he's actually innocent? Like,
yes,
because there are several women who have also in times past used emotions to try to get people to win people over to her own side, right? And use sexual harassment as a tool to do this. Several women have done it in times past as well. There are men who are rotting in jail today because one woman wrongfully accused. So for me, in this conversation, now it now becomes a case of his word against her word or her word against her word.
Must prove. That is the position of the law.
Yeah.
That means if she's alleging something, then she has to come up with her proof.
Yeah.
And that is why I say Nigerians are a bit funny to me. If somebody has made an allegation, let us go to court. Shebi is you that accuse somebody. Then bring your evidence. We don't need to crucify her. At least before the law, you are proven you are innocent until you are proven guilty.
Guilty, yeah.
So for me, I don't think Senator Akpabio is wrong. I don't think she's wrong. Let us come to the right place and let everything be trashed.
Yeah.
But see what happened in the house.
Yeah.
Akpabio is the accused. He should recuse himself from that thing. When it comes to Senator Akpoti, she is not supposed to. It's like being a judge.
Or for your own matter.
On your own matter.
Yeah.
They are accusing the judge of wrongdoing and you are the one that adjudicated on your own matter. No, that is wrong ethically. Let an independent panel be set handle this whole thing. Because of the matters at hand, I will be recusing myself or excusing myself from the seat when it comes to this matter so that I can allow the panel to do their job.
Yeah.
But when you did everything on the floor of the house and you adjudicated, don't you think that is really below the belt? And that's where I'm not saying I'm pro Senator Natasha Akpoti. Neither am I against Akpabio. My own is, sir, let us come before the court. I even want her to prove it. If she now cannot prove it, my brother, do you know the amount of damages Senator
because again
Akpabio might be able to get from her? Her political career is gone. But how about if they prove it?
Even the relationship, because now
gone.
Her husband actually is a friend of the house. You get, so meaning probably gets contracts from senators and all of that.
There are so many places
that also it affects not just her, it affects also the husband.
So for somebody to make that kind of accusation,
yes, I totally agree with you.
And she knows the weight of that accusation. She knows what can happen if this thing goes south. But from our own experience, when it comes to sexual assault, Ogbi, I know that some women can be over the top. I can assure you that I know that some women lie against some men. But the unfortunate thing is that if you cannot prove a matter, it becomes difficult for the court to be able to judge on the matter, because it's your word against mine.
Yeah.
So it is who can prove more.
Yeah.
How about if women start to come out and say, he's done this, he's done that?
True. So which now brings to mind, because again, like I said earlier, several questions are played in my head concerning this particular matter. Okay. So for this, I'm also worried about the effect of this on the average woman out there, who is also probably being sexually harassed at the office or by somebody else, maybe one bros in the compound or whatever. How does this now feel for women who are in such positions? Because then again, okay, about the Senator Natasha Akpabio case, that is we don't know the full story too, to a large extent. But now let's bring it to the average woman.
Yeah.
One way or the other, it feels like this just makes the average woman, who is being sexually harassed, silenced. How can the average babe now come out now to say, okay,
exactly.
Because again, it looks like a battle that you've already lost before you even started fighting.
Honestly, we have talked about these things so many times. Ogbolo, 4 in 5 women have been sexually harassed. I would say 3 in 5 have probably been raped. But do you know, most of the time when these things happen, it's never something you plan.
Yeah.
You entered into the office of a man. Did you know that him standing up to greet you and lock his door?
Yeah.
You were going to be raped from that office. You probably didn't think of it.
Yeah.
For you to have time to set ring light and camera that you want to record it. I know people that have succeeded in recording some of these dastardly acts.
Yeah.
They still will say they entrapped the man. That they knew that they lured him. They seduced him. That was why. Remember that princess comedian issue with Baba, what's the name of that man? That the matter became like it was as if they set him up.
Yes.
So where is the win for women?
Yeah, I want to read something. An analysis. All right. An analysis of the SARC data indicates that out of 14,790 survivors of sexual harassment reported since 2017, only 483 arrests were made.
Wow.
144 cases were charged to court, and only 4 convictions took place. 189 cases were settled outside the legal system. 0.9% of perpetrators of sexual assault are brought to trial. Almost none of them are convicted. Some reports have shown sexual harassment against women by the male politicians who demand sex from the women to enable them lift them, which the women into higher political positions, meaning most of these politicians
look at
have
that
to.
It's
a very sad one.
It's a very sad
look
one,
at that, to be honest.
Statistics. When I keep a woman like me, Obolo, would you believe that? I hardly would say this, and I'm not even ready to tell the story. I'm not ready. The stories of sexual assault. When I discussed, my daughter was somewhere with me, I think yesterday. She held my hand. She said, "Mommy, you've gone through so much." I said, I have. I remember how many of those things I have to relieve. I've been raped only once in my life, and I was raped by our colleague. I see him every other day. Do you know how traumatized I am? When I see him, I just get into this momentary panic mode. But if a woman of my caliber name him, is an established person in the broadcast circle, would people say, how come Lolo did not speak about it for all these 6 years? It's now that he's taking a prominent TV position, she speaks. But when sexual assault happens to women, the first thing that happens to a woman is denial. This didn't happen. The next thing is self-crucifixion. I caused it for myself.
How did I allow it happen?
How did I allow it happen? What could I have done? All this is happening as you are processing and going home. I kept thinking to myself that day, what did I do wrong? He said, oh, let's come, have dinner. I ate. I want to change into a shirt and I'll be on my way. And the door was locked. I was pushed down and it happened in seconds. And he dressed and acted like nothing happened. I sat down and I was thinking to myself, what just happened? How can I shout here? When people say that I entered into this room on my own, so how can I be carrying wolf? I got home that day and nearly used iron sponge to wash my body. And I'm a grown woman I've had 4 children. And that's where I was so mad at some of our matriarchs that came out and said, if a woman is in this position, you can no longer, are you no longer a woman? I know how many times people want to take pictures with me in this industry filled with men I respect, and at the back of their hand will be on my bum throughout that picture, and it's a professional picture. Did the cameraman go to the back?
You can't see
it's
that.
Only maybe one of you that look, and you probably laugh. That this man they bad. If I broke that thing apart and said you did this, won't all of them look at me like, what did he do? Ogbolo, sexual assault for women is almost a losing battle. It's almost a lost battle. I know how many times they'll give me a job in some prominent government places. They'll pay me a meager money. And at the end of the night, they'll be asking, where am I staying? Which hotel am I staying? And I know what they paid my counterpart, who is a man. I had to start taking jobs from there. I don't want to mention which of the states because they will not say, oh, Lala, you made accusation. Come and name names. Can I name names in this Nigeria? Who will protect me? Who will protect my family? Who? Do you know some people, just because you come out to fight this, you are going to be X'd on all grounds. You might lose endorsements. You might lose credibility. You will lose jobs. You might even lose your career because they'll say, if we employ him before she'll come here and start accusing everybody.
Exactly.
But should I say it didn't happen? That is how many women are carrying trauma up and down.
True.
Remember when Bianca was being interviewed? Did you see one of them alluded to her beauty? In a professional setting. Everybody laughed. Everybody felt it was business as usual. Somebody that can say it on a microphone, what did you think they said to her behind? Oh, you are still so beautiful. Everything is still intact. What does that mean? To a woman who... So for us women, it seems like we're fighting a tireless battle. A battle you can never win. But I am not an advocate that women don't lie. But that is why I keep saying that. Look at people that are raped. It takes a level of maybe the man actually, you are physically bleeding, or
before you can prove,
before you can see that, okay, this happened. And at that time, some of the things that women must never do: change your dress. You are supposed to go from where you were raped, shaking, to a police station where they will get a rape kit, get sample from your private area, take a picture of maybe your face that was bruised, your clothes that was... How many women
are ready to go through?
Are ready to go? Do you know what trauma it means when you are assaulted and you get up from that place? Oh, but you want to just run and quietly. I'll never forget an example on radio. They called me that their daughter was going to write JAMB, and one of the area boys they know raped their daughter in an uncompleted house in Echooroom. Oh, I put on my Wonder Woman cape. I was ready to take the case to any length. Do you know 4 days later, after I've contacted domestic violence, the Lagos State domestic, I was about to start up on everything. Do you know the family called me back privately that, Auntie Lolo, please, we'll not send you. The father asked me, are you able to relocate us from our house? I have to still live here because I cannot afford another place.
So basically silencing you.
Not just silent, they silenced me. They silenced their
daughter.
Do you know that girl will grow up with that trauma?
Do
you know how many men will take advantage of that just for the knowledge that has happened once? She bought the kilo brother can you teach for Erini. So if I came in on Jembe. That might be that girl's experience till today.
Now that you mentioned this, because again, I'm a man. The reason why I've allowed you even express all of this is because as a man, you can never really understand the depth of this on the woman's part. Because you are a man, you are a man. You don't get to experience these things. Of course, men, it's not like men don't get sexually harassed. So, I mean, oftentimes men do, but not like that, not like a woman.
It doesn't translate the same way.
Of course it doesn't. And I'll never, because again, a man can be at the office and one woman just taps him, say, fine boy, hot boy, if I catch you, that's what we get. But for a woman, most of the time, because I've had to experience several, and in fact, some girls who have dated in the past, almost if I've dated, let's say 10 ladies, 9 were raped.
Of course.
And it's so sad. I remember at some point, there's this friend of mine who had just had a separation from her husband. And what happened? She said a gang of thieves came into the house and then they gang raped her. in the presence of her husband.
Something
a very
she
beautiful.
didn't
I think
bring
I
on
told
herself.
you
Yeah,
this thing
told
some
me the
years
story,
back.
yeah.
Gang raped her, and because of that, the husband couldn't take it. The husband left her.
Can you imagine?
So the husband left her. That was traumatizing alone, and then the trauma of the fact that she was sexually assaulted, not by one but several.
Yeah.
They started giving me more gist later because she had to express at some point. She told me how when she was younger too, she had experienced almost something like that. Her uncle in the house where she was being raised raped
Let's not
her.
talk about that.
She left the house, went outside because she's very fair. She's very yellow. You know.
She attracts
She went
people.
outside, and then some other boys in the area too raped her somewhere. So now, mentioning this, I'm just thinking for a woman, you know, how do women even come out to express? Now, judging by this Natasha's issue, for example, put yourself in that kind of position. So it's a very sad
Yoruba
case.
will say yon lenu otubu yosi. That means they farted in your mouth and they put salt. You don't want to swallow the fat. You don't want to swallow the salt either. What would you do? It's an impossible task for women. I know some will say, Lolo, you are very emotional. But the varying sexual assault I've experienced personally over the years, my own child would not even understand why I protected her this much. I told you yesterday, my daughter held my hand.
Yeah.
She said, Mommy, I am sorry that you went through all this. She said, Mommy, one day tell me your story because I would love to write about it, the things that you have overcome. Many women you see are walking traumas.
Yeah.
Even our matriarchs that are coming to speak.
Yeah.
Did you remember the one that said she has had to privately slap some?
Yeah.
How about if she openly told you who they were? If they ask her now, I'm sure she doesn't want to.
But where does the issue of women supporting women come into this whole thing? No, because Lolo, if at that level it cannot even be handled, because now the president's wife came out and said what she said. Senator, what's her name again?
Olujimi kiniko
came out and
this other one.
Itagiwa. Itagiwa also came out and because for me, even because right now, Lolo, like you said, it has not been handled in court. Okay, the judiciary has not come into this, right? At the end of the day, what it just looks like is like, okay, we've not even heard this thing, we've not handled it, in court. Yeah. But already she's been crucified.
She's already crucified. This matter, she won't come out unscathed. I know. This might be the end of her political career, and that means there are only 3 women left in the Senate.
So at the end of the day, for all of the women out there, who probably have experienced something like this in the past, I sympathize with the women, and I just hope that this doesn't silence more women.
I'm just praying, more women.
Please.
It will silence them.
Because this is the side effect of what is happening presently. And of course, not just even with women and sexual harassment and all of that. It also shows that the average Nigerian, you can be silenced. If at her level, they've not given her the chance to also come and, say a thing or two.
Her mic?
Yeah, so it's the average Nigerian. It shows you that you may not even have a voice, literally. So it's a very sad one, though.
I just want to talk to women out there. I know that this is a ploy to silence us. But we have to continue to speak, not for the sake of ourselves, but for the sake of the children, the girls that are coming behind us. Because some of these traumas are what defines a woman.
Yeah.
When you see a woman in a particular state in her life acting out unnecessarily, sometimes she's just a creature of the traumas that she has borne. And let me tell you, for some, it is a little monster. Some is a big monster that swallows her up completely. That she loses her entire identity in this monster. But the only way we can win is if we don't back down. If we back down, we will never win. Our children will suffer again in the hands of people who are not enlightened. I know that the patriarchy has gone on for so long.
Yeah.
I am not a feminist. Not the way people define feminism. No. But I know what equality means. Equal opportunities, equal chance, equal right to speak, to do all the things that we should do as a woman. There are many things that are life skill, like cooking. Cooking is not a woman's skill. It's a life skill. That means if you want to be alive, you have to be able to feed yourself. So it cannot be because of that. That is a woman's job. And that is why, because we all grew up with this, that is what made the men of these times that we're living in different. Our fathers never touched babies. But now, we are calling the attention of the men to the fact that the home is not only for the woman. The nurturing of children is a joint work.
Responsibility.
If you want to know more about single parenthood, we have discussed it. Check one of our earlier videos on our podcast. You will see what we discussed there and how the impact is huge when one side of the family is the only one
negative
that is
impact,
nurturing. Now I see men that they leave babies with only 1 hour.
Yeah.
They are already traumatized by their 3 weeks old baby. Imagine what women have to give up for it. I don't want to talk about this any longer.
Please,
but please
in conclusion, right now, I mean, Lolo, everywhere we see supporters for Akpabio and everything. I would have also expected that more women would also come out to also stand for Natasha.
People did a rally today.
I think
Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan rally. The women that you see, did you not see some of the interviews they did for some of them?
Yeah.
They don't know why they are there.
For that, those supporters for Akpabio.
Yes.
Yeah, they don't. They
don't know why they are there.
So they actually look like this were rented.
Yes.
You know.
I don't know. But I know Akpabio now our son.
Yeah.
Now our son.
Yeah.
So because Natasha is not from your place, does that mean that you will just come out and not even know what the issues are? Can't you see the way everybody is rallying around to give him awards and everything?
No, because
it just smells. It smells foul.
Yeah, because again, Lolo, see, at that stage, what is also happening is that people are also trying to just hide and just, okay, my source of feed, let not one person's matter not come and spoil my own. Because again, there are several people at that level who are also gaining favors from Akpabio and the like. So instead of backing her up, make her just keep quiet, or I rather be with Akpabio's side. So I continue to gain my own favors.
But I know that we have been talking to the extreme of
men. But
do you want to side with some men? Because I know that some women too are liars.
Yes, because Lolo, at the end of the day, look, so many men have suffered, like I've said before. So many men have also suffered in the hands of women. False accusation. And literally, it ended the careers of the men. It ended everything for the men. And there are cases where years after, the woman will now come forward and say, it was somebody that said I should not talk. Or I just wanted to make sure that the man also suffers because I've suffered, because of, she brought false accusation. So men have suffered this thing, and that is the honest truth. And that is why, for me, I'm neither on this side or on that side, because a lot of men have suffered in the hands of women. Yeah. As a man myself, Lolo, I've had a woman nearly accuse me of stuff like that in the past. But thank God it didn't go far. It didn't go far, because again, we are able to just nip it quickly. No, all right. So what if it had happened, like you said before? Honestly, what if it had happened?
I am in the way of truth all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm saying it falls on both. The egg falls on both sides.
Yeah.
I have had a woman that wanted to have sexual intercourse with a man, and the man rejected it.
Yeah.
Do you know this lady tore her own dress, ran out of the room of the office of the man in an office. It wasn't a room. It was in the man's office. She ran out of his office. If it wasn't that the man is a 21st century compliant man that had a CCTV in his office.
He don't finish with that.
That was the only reason why that man was exonerated.
Because everybody would have stood on the side of the
Do you know the way everybody saw her in the corridor say, hey, and you see that man. He just wear a jacket. Do you know he's a monster? You're a monster. How could you do this? If that man had not, imagine what this narrative of this woman would have been. And we have to be careful with this generation of women too. Because I see a lot of them do anything for recognition. In trying
to, many also are trying to get their voice.
Yes.
So in trying to get a voice, many also now become evil.
Yes. So
to try to, I need to put men down too. And if I have to lie to do it, let me lie to do it and also tarnish his image. So let's find balance. Let's just find balance. Stick with your truth. And don't add some type of lies because you want to gain favors through emotions. All right. So
I even think it's high time all of us start swallowing camera. Because I don't know.
Everybody will submit evidence.
It might be the only way.
Yeah.
That your body heat skyrocketed between this time and that time.
Yeah.
That's when they knew that something must have happened truly. Finally, I would say that, like the words of one of my friends said, I would say, may your daughters experience same. If you think that every woman lies, may your daughters experience same. Anyway, that is all the time that we have on today's podcast. We'll see you the next time on Say My Piece. From me, It's bye-bye.
For me as well, I believe we've actually delved into this from different angles. Like I said when we started, I just had so many questions in my mind. I'm not here, neither am I there, but I just believe that at the end of the day, this has a form of effect, on society negatively. So let's just all be very careful. All right. For myself, Ogbolo, it is say my piece. We have said our piece. All right. God bless you.